Do you really think you'll be ready for opening tomorrow?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, previews were pretty much a train wreck. We can't seem to get through a performance without a raging fire or a... I'm broke. I'm not sleeping, like, at all. And this play kind of starting to feel like a miniature, deformed version of myself that just keeps following me around and, like, hitting me in the balls with like a tiny little hammer. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Never mind.
I'm delighted to be joined by the lead character and star of Birdman, Michael Keaton. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you give us a brief synopsis and tell us a little about the character you play, Regan Thompson?
The character is an actor going through a midlife crisis and going through a midlife / career crisis, going through a crisis with his daughter, his ex-wife, his current girlfriend, and trying to validate himself by mounting a play based on a Raymond Carver short story, and it pretty much starts. I'm trying not to give too much away here. It pretty much unravels. Everything pretty much unravels in his life before it kind of re-ravels.
Okay, that's a new word that's
yes,
you can all use in Scrabble from now on.
Yeah, right. You'll be challenged by that. And it certainly is a word. And when you see the movie, you'll see what I mean by it re-raveling, and to some degree, right? Think about it, and the more I think about it, and but it sounds like a lot, and the truth is, when you see it, you'll see that in fact that's only part of it. That's just a relatively small part of it, because without sounding too pretentious, it's about a whole lot of things. Because I don't think Alejandro Iñárritu Gonzalez is capable of making anything that doesn't address a lot of levels, or work on a lot of levels, or attempt to address a lot of levels, and he's multidimensional in terms of how he thinks and works and shoots, and he's a pleasure to be around. He's an artist.
I absolutely love the film.
Thanks.
And it's one of those rare things which it reminded me of a lot of other films that I like Sweet Smell of Success and Elements of Brazil, and
interesting.
And those kind of things. But it was, and there are no small performances in it at all. I mean, everyone is terrific in it.
Yeah.
And also, it was when I got back after seeing it, I made a couple of notes on what I thought it was about. And I thought that, at a very basic level, it could be seen as a comedy about a group of people trying to put a play on.
That's right.
But then there's the nature of fame as a drug, the nature of celebrity, the
art.
Duality of art.
Of being relevant in a what do you call it, a technological mass media world,
Well, that was one of the things with Regan. He's kind of not au fait with social media. He's
right.
not as aware as people around him of this comeback that he's trying to make. The definition of success was in there. To control your ego, you have to first accept your ego. I mean, any of those things?
It goes on and
have
on.
I missed something?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, you say that, and then I'll be talking about it with someone else, and someone will bring something else up, and I go, geez, I didn't even think of that. Or I'll see the movie. I'm in essentially every frame of the movie, and I see things that while I was making it, I wasn't even aware we were doing, I mean, this might be going too far, but a friend of mine said to me, half jokingly, but kind of seriously, he said, even the idea of tweeting, the image is a bird, I mean, that's going a bit far maybe, but there's a lot going on in this movie.
But also, you mentioned as well when you were talking about Regan, that he's got a lot of antagonists in this. his daughter. He's got this other wild card actor that comes in. He's got his lawyer. It was, in terms of playing something like that, you're kind of being hit from all sides. I mean, both as the character, but also as an actor, trying to keep all those plates spinning.
Yeah.
You talk about some of the challenges of doing that, because it's an extraordinary film in terms of its layers and how quickly it moves from something very funny to something quite twisted and dark. I mean, within a minute, really.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes literally within a minute. Yeah, yeah. And you know, the more I talk about this, the more when I hear myself say it, it's odd that I think about how titillating that is, because that's so weird that I would like that. That, you know, that the difficulty of that is exciting. You know, and I think if I had thought about it too much, not that I didn't think about it, because I did, and I mostly knew what I was getting into, but I didn't really know what I was getting into. But I'm not sure that I'll ever be given an opportunity to do something like this again that's as challenging but as exciting, because I tend to get bored very easily. And, you know, you're an actor.
I am.
Yeah. So you'll know what I mean when or maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm envious of people who just don't get bored, who are excited about it all the time. But I get bored with a lot of things quickly. That's not necessarily a wonderful characteristic. But in life, not just, but, you know, sometimes I think, well, I've heard myself say a version of this before. You know, it's one reason I don't work a lot, or kind of, you know, got tired of hearing it. You know, or you catch yourself maybe pulling out an old trick as much as you tried never to use a trick. You know, so this afforded me. I didn't have any luxury. There were no tricks. You couldn't use any tricks, and because you're naked all the time, sometimes almost literally naked, and so to have a job where you enjoy being frightened and scared and see if you can rise to the occasion is really, really a blessing, I think, you know, for someone like me.
What was the thing that was frightening about this?
To see if I could do it, to see if I could pull it off, and to know that it was all meat. There was no fat anywhere, you know. This was all meat, you know, and so I'm gonna kind of circle back to what you said, because now that you've seen the movie, you're right. When would one ever get the chance to kind of surf second to second, minute to minute, different, you know, the different nuances and the different emotions, and try to be darkly funny, trying to be silly funny, trying to be dark and just sad and just heartbroken, and then turn around and be ironic, and then turn around and be crazy, you know, say crazy things, you know, talking about being hit the balls by a tiny hammer, you know. That scene is so wonderful. I mean, you know, you get to do it not just within a movie, not just within a scene, but as you said, sometimes literally within a minute of one of the scenes, you know, play almost everything, you know, and to have to ride that and feel it and see if you can, not just see if you can pull it off, because that connotes watching yourself, you know, performing. I don't like the idea of performance. Performance is, to me, self-conscious. The goal is to just see if I could say, just be in it, all that, moment to moment.
What was really interesting was that it felt very, very present. I mean, you know, each moment that you had felt very present. But and I wanted to talk about the nature of the way the film was shot, which I don't think I've seen anything like it. I mean, it feels like one take. I mean, there are long takes with the camera moving around. And I was thinking that usually when I've got a script, and maybe this is just me, but you kind of tonally pitch your performance to an edit point. It may be the end of the scene. It may be an edit point within the scene. How did you kind of pitch your performance in this? Because
wow, that's interesting. See, that I didn't even think of. That's really it's really an interesting and astute observation. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I just tried to stay present in every second and tell the truth. That's, you know, the truth is, you know, this is fun to talk with somebody, you know, not like we're in a special club, because I kind of, frankly,
We can be.
I like listening to actors talk about it. I don't particularly like hearing myself talk about acting, but you do understand it. So for me, I just want to be, Alejandro, and I would talk to him about the truth all the time. Is that the truth? Am I telling the truth? Is the scene truthful? Am I being truthful? You can be truthful in the silliest, most ridiculous comedy or scene. It doesn't matter. At some point you have to be telling the truth for me, and you just keep working on that and working on that and working on that. So to be present, I guess I never thought about, the edit points or any. I didn't want to know. I don't want to know. This was an odd exercise because, I don't want to be ever camera aware. At the same time, this movie, you were responsible for being camera aware because of the way it was shot. You had to be in frame, and sometimes you had to make little adjustments because you had to account for a guy, running a steady camera operator or handheld to be in the right spot. And sometimes if you were a second ahead of him, we had to start all over again because it was all precisely choreographed, not just physically, but you had to be word perfect at the right spot at the right time. And we rehearsed it over and over and over again for weeks to get it right. And then you have to allow for things to go a little wrong, a little bit wrong.
That suggests there was no room for improvising. One of the things that I find that improvising is one of the elements that you have that can draw you into the present because it's in the moment and it's unique. But did you have any space for that?
No, and and that was okay, because as you can tell, it's like doing a play, and then we had the bonus of doing a play, actually doing a play inside. And I didn't realize this till later, but I don't know. It's a blessing to be part of something like this. And Alejandro is so detail-oriented and so perfectionistic about things. And it wasn't just a question of, did everybody come in on cue? Was everything in frame? Was the lighting correct in that scene? Were we word perfect with our lines? It wasn't that. You could be all those things, but you go, but the scene wasn't good enough, or we weren't. The performances weren't where they should be, or there was a technical problem. There were 100 things that we had to work on, as opposed to, hey, we pulled it off. It wasn't just that. It's weirdly kind of fun to play. I mean, as hard as it is, it actually becomes fun.
We should explain who Birdman is. I've suddenly realized that we haven't explained who he is. He's kind of like a alter ego, an echo, a kind of id.
Right.
What
I would say all those things. I would say your negative ego, and what's fun to talk about though is everybody sees him as this little devil on your shoulder. The truth is, he tells you the truth sometimes.
Right.
It's not always wrong. The critic isn't always wrong. When I turn on her, I laugh every time I see it, and she's so great in it. But when she says...
This is Lindsay Duncan.
Yes.
We have to wave the flag for our own.
Oh, she's fantastic. Everybody's so good. All the little roles are good. She's wonderful. And she goes, when she says to me, I'm going to destroy your play. Do you know why? Because I hate you.
Yeah.
I just laugh. And she's horrible, but then you listen to a few things she says. She goes, no, she's right about that. And then he's right about that. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Alejandro is an equal opportunity offender.
Now, of course, everyone has asked you about this, and I'm sorry, I have to not be the exception. People obviously will draw the parallels between you having played Batman in the first two Tim Burton films, and this. Was that ever a concern for you that people might see as autobiographical in some way?
Well, it is certainly biographical in terms of I played a character called Batman that was a giant international, success success.
That's a good word.
Yeah, because it was kind of more than that. It was kind of a social. It was kind of like a phenomenon in a way, because it was the first one that ever blew up like that, really, and. And I'm an actor, and I'm not 25. And I don't think I was. Yeah, I think I started making a living when I was 25. So I'm not 30 or 35. You know what I mean? So of course, and it's totally fine with me. All this is fine with me. However people want to perceive it, it doesn't really matter really. and it's all okay. I mean, the truth is, in terms of his personality type, I'm not that personality type. I'm just not. I might come from a family of fiercely independent people, and I don't really care to be at the whim of other people's decisions, and so.
And you live in Montana.
Yeah, and I'm not dependent on that. I'm not that needy. I'm not a whiner, because you weren't allowed to be a whiner in my house. And I find him pathetic, but also noble at the end of the day, Regan. I really admire his courage. You know, he put it all on the line, and I like him at the end of the day. And I just don't. I wouldn't want to hang out with him at all. And in terms of, I never took any of it. I hope I don't take any of it too seriously. I just try to be good at what I do. So in a lot of ways, no. But to say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course I know what you're talking about. There's about a 2.5, well, maybe not that long, about a 30-second or a minute and 20-second period where you go, yeah, that's me, Michael, sitting talking to journalists about why I didn't want to do the other Batman. It was simple for me. It was less complicated. It wasn't any good. I just wasn't interested. So, but what's shocking is how seriously people take it, frankly.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you,
Really
sir.
appreciate your time.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. Very good.